a derelict, derelict. All my friends, they wish me dead, they wish me dead. Every day is filled with dread, filled with dread. All my life been a derelict. I've got the turning clue, swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss to feel so typical. I've got the turning clue, swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss to feel so typical. Life been a derelict, never change, yeah, I swear to it. And of all the times I've been down and out, this time was different, I welcomed it. Every day that I fail to quit, I wind up here and just state I'm in. The heavy weight, cause it's bound to break, I need a break, the skin I'm in. Tip of my tongue tastes like battery acid. Try to push forward, I cannot push past it. Feel the blood on my tongue, it tastes metallic. Another day passes, I don't break the habit. I've got the turning clue, swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss to feel so typical. I've got the turning clue, swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss to feel so typical. So typical. I've got the turning clue, swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss to feel so typical. I've got the turning clue, swallowing me, falling into everything that I do, everything I kiss to feel so typical. There's been plenty of moments that I fell in hard times. More often than not, getting faded was my lifeline. I realized that I've always struggled with change, but sometimes you gotta rearrange before you go insane. I've been doing my best to stay true to myself, put my next foot forward and smoking dope for my health. I never give up the music till I'm rolling in wealth. Some days I swear this basement's my own personal hell. Well, I love the sound of the city, goddamn I love the sound of the city, yeah, yeah. I'm wide awake when you're with me, I feel better when you got my back, yeah. Red eyes, I'm sky high, I think this might be the best night that I've ever had, that I've ever spent with you. I confess I'm obsessed with the sex, heart palpitations every time that she texts. I admit that we ain't always been the best for each other, but what is love without the little test? Girl, you know you're my sneaky link. When I'm with you, my ego shrink. I'm just craving time for us alone. I think about you every time I'm home smoking dope. I love the sound of the city, goddamn I love the sound of the city, yeah, yeah. I'm wide awake when you're with me, I feel better when you got my back, yeah. Red eyes, I'm sky high, I think this might be the best night that I've ever had, that I've ever spent with you.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. Nice to see you here. What's up, Nick? Dorian, yes, sir. Val, what's up? I think I said that. Anker? How's it going, guys? Happy to see you here. So today, I'm going to be completely honest. I have no idea what to do trade-wise, so I'm kind of not really doing anything. The good thing is I have my DCA, so if we do see some kind of huge rip upwards, at least I take advantage of that in one way or another. But this is kind of where, if you don't know what to do, do nothing, right? I mean, in trading, it's like there will always be more opportunities. Like there will always be a bear market, there will always be a bull market, there will always be some way to make money. It's just how do you do it? So before I get into the TA, I wanted to say, I don't know. I've tweeted a lot over the last couple days. Like I don't really know what to think of this pump by Bitcoin, to be honest with you. It started with news. It's still going with news. It is looking stronger now, but equities are kind of ruining it. And when I mean that, and for me, the SPX is broken down. Right, we've lost our. Excuse me, I gotta pull out my tools. We lost our uptrend. We've lost our horizontal support. For me, it's a breakdown, right? I mean, crypto should essentially follow, especially thinking like Bitcoin pumped off news. There really wasn't anything other than news that pumped us up. Every time we moved up, it was because of this ETF thing. I mean, you can make the argument that there's always news on pumps and dumps, but that's not really the case. I don't know. I don't really know what to think. Maybe we'll get an answer by the end of this, but I am short at like 34,650. So if we go up like another $100, I'm just going to take profit and wait for something clearer. But yeah, I have SPX breaking down. I don't know why. I know tech earnings came out and they're pretty bad, put us down a little bit, but we're also kind of in this proxy war, which is very economically bullish. So I'm waiting to see what happens there. Waiting to see what the Fed does, if the Fed pivots. I know there's a lot going on right now. So again, ultimately, TA-wise, got a breakdown. We have a big macro uptrend breakdown. We have a big breakdown with on that horizontal support. Don't really have support until like 3,800. Really, I mean, it's a little harder here because there's a lot of jumping. There's a lot of volatility. But anywhere between maybe 4,200 and 4,150 is that resistance, or what should be new resistance. Should have held its support, but ultimately broke down. It should be resistance. And then the DXY. So here you go. You have a pump consolidation. I mean, this is breakout consolidation, should continue higher. With SPX breaking down, now we have that confluence, right? Now we are technically bearish. We're not necessarily macro bearish. We're definitely in a bear market. But this is ultimately bearish. These two things. So we have SPX bearish. We have the DXY telling us that that confirming that the SPX is bearish. So when we get, and I'm, kind of leading everything up until we get to Bitcoin, because crypto is confusing me right now, right? You have equities bearish. DXY is pointing, bullish, which makes equities bearish. Your total chart is rejecting resistance on resistance. Your tether dominance, near support, kind of in no man's land. So this is tough, but it did break down, right? This is where things get weird. We have this ascending wedge, and it's broken down. It's broken that kind of macro uptrend, trying to see what happens there. I mean, if this thing does pop up and maybe retest, crypto is going to see that larger, not a large correction, but a nice little correction. But when you get into Bitcoin now, right? I mean, Bitcoin kind of at a weekly resistance, not a big deal, but the daily, I would argue this is really bullish. Now, I know, there really wasn't a setup down here. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, but a breakout and retest. This is never a breakout. You don't retest lower than you broke out. That's just not how that works. And most of this was news-based, right? We had the original pump on the ETF thing that ended up being fake, kind of dabbled around, and now pumped higher off more ETF news. So it's in a weird spot, right? The last time I saw a huge pump like that in October was this. And I don't want to say the two things are the same, But this is essentially what happened, right? We had China came out and said that, they're going to use crypto in their, systems. And look what happened. We pumped quite a bit, pumped nicely. What is this, like a 45% move? But there's no real TA here, right? Maybe if we would have held, you could have said double bottom, but ultimately huge drawdown, huge wave upwards, like 3 days after this supposed breakdown, right? On top of that, after the news kind of, dissipated, we just went back down, right? So I truly believe that we're seeing this with equities, with the DXY, with everything. You're probably going to see this where that kind of hype wears down. There's nothing holding this up but this ETF news. Well, if news doesn't continue to come out like positively for Bitcoin, for the ETF or whatever, then how are we going to push this higher, right? You could argue, yeah, volume looks okay, but the original uptrend, so from point A to really point B, we'll say point A, B, and C, you had volume going down, price going up. This thing should have rejected, came back down, maybe done something like this. Then we kind of get this news-based move that trinks us upwards. Another couple news-based moves here that really get us going upwards. On top of that, on the weekly, we did have that head and shoulders that never didn't end up playing out. I had a feeling it wouldn't play out, but it is what it is. And my short just got stopped. Unfortunate. At least it was in profit. So, it's tough to say right now on what I truly think. Like, if I'm looking at this from a, if we had a, solid setup, is solid, let's go back to January. What I mean, if you're new here, what I mean by a setup, we had the double bottom here, lots of divergences in here on the weekly, lots of divergences on the daily, clean double bottom here, clean breakout, lots of volume rising. We get this huge move, break that uptrend, continue, consolidate, and then move upwards. So in this move, we're kind of in the consolidation. So if we go and look at this, right, where C is, we're kind of consolidating. So you could argue we could definitely go up. And I don't want to say that we won't go up, but it's just a little weird, right? It's news based. Where does it end? And there's if there wasn't TA starting the move, well, what's going to give you the answer for the end of the move, right? So I don't personally, I don't like trading. Let me see if I did get stopped out. Ooh, I might not have. Probably did though. Let's take a look. I did not get stopped out yet. How did I not get stopped out? We went up past my stop loss. Gonna have to check that out soon. Anyways, there's just nothing backing this. And I mean, if you guys can find something TA related, and again, I really didn't think this head and shoulders was going to play out. I really thought we'll dance around, get a nice clean double bottom, or get something that gives us some kind of entry. A lot of people thought 25K was going to get lost. I didn't. But so on and so forth. BlackRock is going to nuke on us. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Well, and the thing is here, this is dangerous to short. I don't want you guys to think, oh, Roman's short. Like, you should not be shorting right now. I got lucky with a short this morning because I saw on the 4 hour, and just to give you guys a little bit of context, I saw this, right? I saw this kind of double bottom-ish thing. I'm just going to expand this so we can see. I saw this kind of double bottom thing on the 1 hour. On the 4 hour, we had bearish divergences, and then we get this crazy wick. It almost confirmed itself, and it still can. We can still drop down and confirm that. I think that's what will happen, but I don't know if this move takes us all the way back to 31, or if we have a larger bull flag and we just bounce here and then do one last move upwards before a move downwards. It's really weird. This is one of the few times where I'm like, I don't know what to do because there's too many conflicting things. And if you ever find yourself in this situation, it's okay to just stay out, right? And to give even more conflicting bias, look at Ethereum to Bitcoin. This is the lowest close in 2 years, right? This is a breakdown for me. Now, you could argue maybe it's deviation. Maybe we'll see, a deviated move and pump. I hope we do. But at the same time, this is the lowest close. If we stretch this back historically, you have ultimately a breakdown, a retest, kind of some struggle here, kind of a bounce near here, lots of bounces here, and now just a complete close under. Last time we closed under, we nuked. I'm not saying we're going to nuke, but it just seems likely that this is the support or the end of that support level. So really, really hard to get a grasp on what's going on right now. I think a lot of people not only miss the move, but are also in a similar position, right? You're like, oh, I missed the move. Where can I get in? And then you have that second thought, like, do I even want to get in? Because for the last week, I was in Ethereum. And if you tell me, like, Ethereum looks pretty decent, right? Or it looked pretty decent. We had that breakout kind of retest consolidation. Maybe we'll spring upwards a little bit. We still have not broken our downtrend yet. So on a macro scale, we could easily just do this. But Ethereum to Bitcoin is very weak. It broke down. If Bitcoin dumps, Ethereum's going to dump through this support and probably much lower, right? So it's very conflicting. The main altcoins are not showing any strength. You have Ethereum, you have Litecoin. I don't really consider XRP, but you have Litecoin that's very, very weak. You have, let's see, XLM. XLM's not horrible, but XLM's doing okay. So, and that's the thing, like some of these alts are doing okay, but if Ethereum's not doing good, I don't know. When Ethereum to Bitcoin's also showing weakness, that's not bullish. Guys, when alts are bullish, the market is bullish, or you're in a very bullish state of a market move, right? And alts are showing weakness. Ultimately, Ethereum is showing weakness. If I pull up Total 2, you could argue, oh, we broke this diagonal, whatever. It looks pretty decent. It's a breakout, maybe somewhat of a retest. Yeah, but at the same time, diagonals are not the best cue for support and resistance, because you could ultimately say this is the diagonal, and maybe we just do this because look at that, now it lines up with that horizontal. So I don't know, it's in a tough spot. I don't want to be like, oh, this is what's going to happen, because honestly I'm just going to be honest, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't really feel comfortable longing a move that's driven by news. And I think a lot of people, no matter what happens over the next week or so, and I have a feeling we're going to pump. Like my gut says we're going to go up. But it's, we're back to are we just going to deviate? Could we literally just do this? And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't know. I think it's going to catch I think the next move catches FOMO and we dump hard. Like dump back to like 32.5-ish. We'll see. Saw your tweet the other time, bro. Can you briefly explain the science behind microcaps pumping? Okay, so when microcaps pump, it's usually the end of a upward move. So just in a basic like macro stance, when we start the bull market, it goes Bitcoin, like all the money goes to Bitcoin. Bitcoin breaks all-time highs. Then it goes to Ethereum, right? Then it goes to like large caps alts. I'm just going to put LCA, large cap alts. And then you go to microcaps or shit coins. I'm going to put shit there. Microcaps and shit coins. And then the money goes all the way back into Bitcoin. Slowly over time. Like this is the bear market, right? Where that kind of liquidity goes back to Bitcoin. So if you're going from Bitcoin moving and skipping this and getting all the way to here, well, what's next? And what's likely next is this kind of sell-off. I'm not saying a bear market. We're already in a bear market. But probably a sell-off would be my best guess. And that's kind of what it's been always. I mean, I feel like a lot of seasoned traders know when they start seeing like Dogecoin or Pepe or whatever, all these shit coins start going off. That's usually when you're like, okay, it's probably time to take profits and get out, because this sell-off's going to happen or it could happen at any point. But yeah, that's more or less what I mean. Sorry if that confused you. But that's kind of how the liquidity flows through crypto. So, and let's look at Bitcoin dominance. So a couple things. Bitcoin dominance, yes, could retest support, which would give alts a little breathing room, or it could just continue going up. I don't really see anything. Yeah, there's no bearish divergence, so I don't really see anything stopping this. So again, if Bitcoin dominance is going up, that could also mean that when Bitcoin drops, alts drop more, which is still a bearish state of the market, which again, hence the Ethereum. Oh, there it is. Now my short got stopped. Oh no. Not my short. Anyways. And for those of you just coming in, I had a short earlier today, like 34,650. Really saw a solid opportunity, but it seems like we're still consolidating. So pulling up the 1 hour. I mean, again, TA wise, if we break this level, you could probably try for a quick long. I think if we break it and close above, put your stops to break even immediately, because there's a good chance, there's a good chance that this thing does not continue as high as you think. And for the reasons being, one, if we put in a new high, our RSI is going to put in a bearish divergence. Our MACD will put in a bearish divergence. And that's not to say that you can't just do, this where you put in multiple bearish divergences before that kind of move downwards. But yeah, it's in a weird spot, and I don't want to make a macro call or a crazy call when it's news. It's just news holding it up, right? So, oh, dude, I don't care. I got stopped in profit. I'm just glad I walked away with something, right? Walked away with like $500. I'm not too mad about it. Can't be mad about that. Yeah, walked away with something. But yeah, ultimately, it's a little confusing. Like, where does this kind of end? Is it still news driven? And what's going to happen when the market realizes that equities are shitting the bed, right? When equities break down or have broken down. So for now, I'm really not doing anything. If we pump to 40 to 48,000 and I completely miss it, well, I have my dollar cost average, and there's about $75,000 in it. If we do another 50% move from here, that's still huge, and I'm still taking advantage of that. So I've said that for the last year and a half. It's probably a good idea to dollar cost average, especially when we were down at the lows when Bitcoin was between 20 and 15,000. Was really harping on the DCA down here, and some people took advantage and some people didn't. But I don't know what to tell you now. I personally wouldn't be starting a DCA now because we've recovered most of the bottom. We've recovered, if you're talking, we're less than 50%. I mean, you could certainly DCA. It's never a bad idea, but personally, I wouldn't personally start one here. Yeah, it is very hard to ignore the higher highs and higher lows. Yes, absolutely. Like, there is TA that says this is bullish or says that, this looks good. But again, it was driven by news. It was driven by, like, okay, I'll give you an opposing example. When the FTX news, when FTX shit the bed, which is here, we dumped. People thought we were going to continue dumping. Well, if we look at TA, look at some TA, especially on the weekly, you had, you had, as soon as these candles started closing, you had bullish divergences here forming. You had a descending wedge forming as well as soon as we started consolidating. So, and then on top of that, maybe this was consolidation to move, move further down, but then we had a double bottom. And that's really what triggered that move upwards. Amazing that a lot of people didn't see it, but a lot of people don't watch the daily chart, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. So, per my system, I have nothing in here that says that this move should have ever happened. Unless news took us up. There's literally nothing. We just randomly pumped off ETF, and then again, the ETF, that whole ETF thing where they posted the Bitcoin ETF on that website or whatever. So again, I don't want to say anything can happen and I'm going to claim to be right. I'm definitely not going to do that, but I will say that news-based pumps, one, don't last long and usually retrace all the way down to where they started. And where this thing started was down here, right? Or this candle here. So retracing down to here, maybe getting some sideways, that's still higher highs, higher lows. It's still technically a macro bullish kind of trend here. If we got a sharp move down, I think we'd move a little bit lower down, maybe do something like this over the long run. But it's just weird. We're in a really weird spot, and I just don't feel comfortable putting money into the market and taking risks when I don't know what's going to happen. This is, again, one of the few times where you're like, just stay away. It's just better to stay away, because even if you stare at you're going to stare at this, and the more you stare at it, you're just going to keep confusing yourself. I guess, to say. So, but in the meantime, let's take a look at Ethereum, because I've been eyeing the shit out of this, especially with Ethereum to Bitcoin. I don't know where the support stops. It could be, a much larger zone where, excuse me, where maybe this is the whole support. Maybe it's a very large zone. Or maybe this turns into deviation. I would think if we get back over like 0.054 or 0.05, 0.0534, whatever, around this orange line, then we can consider a deviation, but we're not even close. So until that happens, I don't really have a lot of faith in that this is a truly bullish move yet. For some reason, I can't read your message box. But I'm doing good. I can't read part of what you wrote. There's a giant heart. I don't know what the deal is. Roman finally could do it. Hope you're all right. Oh, okay, there it is. Glad to hear it, man. Glad to hear it. Many were saying the bull market wasn't over because Ethereum and Bitcoin didn't break the high. That shirt is awful. Thanks. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I'm literally just lounging in my house. I've been doing it all day. The weather's shit. Allergies are bad. But go Buckeyes. But yeah, guys, that's all I have. I know it probably didn't really help at all, but I'm just trying to give you the perspective of, if you don't know what's going on or you don't know what to do, the best thing is to do nothing. I will say, for like a quick scalp, and again, I really don't think that this thing is just gonna like do what it did. You could probably buy a breakout here. If we start getting above like 35,000, I would throw your stop at break even. And maybe try and watch a 15-minute and cash out as soon as possible. Like cash out like a 3 or 4 or 5% gain. I know a lot of you guys are leverage traders, so if you're a big leverage guy, then maybe look into that. But this is tough. Normally, I'd say this is really nice consolidation to go higher, but it's news based, right? The whole thing is news based. Just really, really interesting. Oh no, I knew exactly why you meant it was awful. Trust me. I knew exactly why. And in my defense, so I grew up in Cincinnati, and for the last 30 years, we didn't have a football team. Like, the Bengals suck. I mean, they're good now, right? Like, we have Joe Burrow, and we have a whole new coaching staff. So for my whole life, the only football team that was good was Ohio State. So that's why everyone in Ohio is like a huge Ohio State fan, because the Browns suck, the Bengals suck, and we don't really have any other colleges that can compete at that high level. So that's why everyone kind of not necessarily bandwagons. We're from Ohio, so. Yeah, guys. I mean, that's all I have. I mean, I know it's kind of confusing. I really, it's really rare that I don't have an answer or don't have some kind of like, hey, if this happens, do this, or if this happens, do that. I think if we break this, we do this. I tweeted it yesterday. I think we deviate. I think we deviate and send lower. Again, kind of backing that TA wise. You got the daily. The daily's really overbought. It's just tough. It's tough to call. I hate seeing something and then being completely wrong. So if you don't know what to do, stay out. That's my best piece of advice. With all that said, guys, be patient, use risk management, and good luck trading.